Hello everyone, how's it going? And welcome to today's Wild Rift video. In today's video, we're checking out the recent rework that happened to Singed and also a hotfix that happened just one day after the release of the rework, nerfing every single one of his abilities. Now, before we get into the gameplay where I'll be playing Singed support, I wanted to give you a basic rundown of what changed with Singed and what were some of the nerfs that came in during the hotfix. In terms of the passive, it didn't actually get changed at all or nerfed at all. It's still the same as what it was before, which is basically when you stand close to champions, whether that be on your team or the enemy team, you gain a bit of movement speed, as you can see. And you have a little indicator now underneath the enemy champions or allied champions, which will tell you what the cooldown is and when you can get the extra burst of movement speeds. For the first ability, when the rework came through, the ability actually got increased by 10 base damage at every single rank. But because Singed went up to a 70% plus win rate, they had to nerf some of his damage on his first ability, nerfing the base damage by 5 and nerfing the ability power ratio by 5%. Singed's second ability, Mega Adhesive, got slightly changed, which allows Singed to now deal damage to champions when the adhesive explodes on landing. This gives you more options in team fights, whether you want to put your adhesive below you to try and fling enemies back towards the adhesive to root them, or you can use the second ability now on enemy champions to deal a bit of extra burst damage. The cooldown also went down to 11 seconds at every single rank. However, during the hotfix nerf, the base damage got reduced and the ability power ratio both got reduced. So in general, the ability is doing less damage, but still has a very low cooldown, which gives you more playmaking potential during team fights. Now, the Fling is really where Singed became completely broken. This ability turned from a ability that you needed to stand right next to a champion to fling them back to having over 400 cast range. It turned into a ranged ability, which basically worked as like an Alistar W or just a little bit shorter, but instead of headbutting them away, you fling them back into your team. This just gave you so much setup potential in team fights and allowed you to get onto backline carries super easily with your movement speed and fling them back into your team, almost guaranteed that they were going to die. However, in the hotfix nerf, this cooldown did get increased to 12 seconds at every single rank from 10 seconds. The damage ratio, the ability power ratio again went down. The maximum HP damage went down and the cast range went down from 400 to 300. However, as you can still see, it still works as a ranged ability that you can still get close enough within range to fling enemies back towards your team. As I mentioned before, the ability range was basically where my market is now. So you're basically getting double, if not triple, the amount of range with Singed's third ability, which still gives you incredible playmaking potential. And it's a really cool, unique technique which you're able to actually now use Fling over walls. So you'll be able to fling enemies back over a wall. You'll actually end up on the opposite side of the wall and they'll be flinged back over the wall. So if the enemy champions don't have flash or any way to escape, it's a really cool way to trick enemies from standing near walls to fling them back towards your team and guarantee they are going to die. And as for the ultimate, this is one of the main reasons why Singed support has now become very popular and at the moment has the highest win rate in the game. The great thing now with Singed ultimate is that you're able to spend or basically give percentage of your stats over to the nearest allied champion. That percentage is 30%. So when you increase yourself with ability power, armor, magic resist, and movement speed, you're not only giving the stats to yourself, you're also giving it to your marksman or your AD carries sitting beside you. So that extra armor, magic resist, survivability, the extra movement speed, overall, you can get a crazy amount of stats for yourself and also allied champions, just buffing overall the insane 2v2 potential that you have in the duo lane. Not only that, but the duration got increased by 2 seconds from the rework, and also now every single time you do ability power damage when you have your ultimate active, you now apply 40% grievous wounds. That means you don't need to buy items like Morenomicon or Thornmail anymore, and you can instead build more utility items like Frozen Heart and Abyssal Mask. The bonus stats did get reduced itself in the hotfix, but still overall, you being able to share some of your stats or give some of your stats over to an allied champion just makes this ability so broken as a support. All right, on to the gameplay. And as I mentioned, in this game, we are playing Singed support. I definitely feel like Singed's best role right now is in support because of the third ability being reworked into a range effect, because of how much potential that Singed has in terms of giving stats over to his AD carry, trying to tank in team fights, even peeling at the same time as well. Because you have to remember, the fling on the third ability doesn't always need to be used aggressively. It could be used defensively, like you'll see in this gameplay, where you can actually fling enemies back away from your AD carry. I played in a bit of a weird matchup here. Obviously, this benefits, you know, Singed more than anyone, really. They have an Irelia AD carry, which is a bit interesting, and Thresh support. Now, Thresh is a little bit difficult to deal with since, as you can see, he has his range auto attacks, which he can proc Glacial Augment, which is super annoying to deal with. Irelia, though, basically not going to be able to do anything at all this game. I mean, if my Xayah plays the game extremely well, then she can use her feathers to peel away from the likes of Irelia and do quite a lot of damage. I went for my second ability as my second level up. I kind of messed up though, my second ability. My second ability went to Narnia. I could have just used my second ability before using the fling and trying to root Irelia, but I kind of made a little bit of a misplay. It's actually really difficult to aim your second ability and make sure that, there you go, you fling and deal damage just like that. It's actually really difficult to do that, but unfortunately my Xayah actually dies here and we have to run away to the base. But Irelia makes a really stupid mistake and tries to tower dive me when I'm playing Singed. I mean, I didn't have my first ability, so I wasn't dealing damage over time, but I actually don't know how the interaction works. Can someone still take Thresh's Lantern even if I use my second ability on them? I'm not really too sure, but I see a really good opportunity here in the Baron lane to look for a roam. I'm going to use my second ability to slow down the Amumu, fling him back, get a bit of a stun off, there we go, and guarantee a kill. I carried on chasing here. I think I forced away Yone's flash here. I think actually still going. Do I kill him? I can't remember. Oh yeah, I forgot the KO was still top lane. So I don't kill him, unfortunately, but still really good roam timing. And as you can see, what my AD carry does extremely well is my AD carry is sitting bot lane. I don't know if you can see, you can see my mouse. My AD carry is just sitting underneath tower. Perfection. This is exactly what you do as an AD carry when your support is roaming. Your support roaming is not a bad idea for situations like that. I can roam and make an impact on the rest of the map, and you can get back down to the bot lane so quickly. But what you have to do as a marksman and as an AD carry is you need to just play defensive and play underneath the tower. Don't walk up and try and take a minion wave, because you're just going to get hit by Thresh Hook, by Irelia's stun, etc, etc. But overall, a pretty good start to start things off here. We get ourselves the Hextech loot kit, which is going to give us a little bit of a slow and give me an opportunity to try and use my fling again. I slow everyone down as well. I probably should have used my ultimate a little bit earlier to give my stats over to Xayah, but it still worked completely fine. Trying to get a dive here onto Irelia. Really nice ulti there from the Xayah, and we both survive. Look at that. A tower dive, Xayah gets the health regen and the mana regen and the armor and mag resist, is able to survive underneath the tower. I'm able to survive. I fling the Amumu away. Absolute cinema. What an incredibly strong early game this is. Unfortunately, though, my Victor has been AFK for pretty much this entire game. I'm not too sure if I bring up my scoreboard in a little bit. As you can see, my Victor's level 3. So yeah, we're in a pretty difficult spot, but at least we're winning bot lane. That's always really good. I'm really actually looking for a tower dive in bot lane onto the onto Xayah, but that's not going to work. You can't tower dive with Xayah, so this already is running it ever so slightly, I would say. But yeah, overall, you can already see the kind of impact that you make as Singed support because of how strong his third ability is. His third ability and his ultimate are two really big reasons why Singed support has become a thing and why it's one of the best, if not the best supports out there right now to play. And you're seeing like kind of the synergy that we have with both Xayah route and also the Singed route at the same time. So you can see here, I'm actually going to look for, and I believe I looked for it. No, I was going to look for an engage there, but I think Xayah was just a little bit too far away, unfortunately. We are going to be losing that. Is it top lane tower? Yeah, we somehow lose the top lane tower before mid lane, even though, as you can see, my Victor is still in base, by the way, this entire time. I'm trying to find an opportunity here to fling the Irelia. Unfortunately, though, my Xayah, I think, DC'd in this moment. Yeah, this was really unfortunate. Yeah, as you can see, my Xayah DC'd at the exact moment that I used ulti and ghost, and I had a really good engage opportunity because I dodged the hook, I flinged the Irelia backwards, and as I mentioned, the combo of flinging someone backwards, then using the Xayah feathers to get a root off, you could normally kill someone straight away. So yeah, really unfortunate timing there. The Xayah DC'd at that exact moment. Maybe the Xayah and the Victor draw queue. I'm not really too sure. But you can see I'm going to try and look for a roam again up into top lane because I know that my Xayah should be completely safe here. I see the Amumu and I see the Kayle. My Victor has finally reconnected. So we're back, baby. I land the root onto Kayle. Get one kill onto the Kayle, but unfortunately, I died, but I believe this is a 3-for-2 trade. Or 3-for-1 trade. I think the Kha'Zix guarantees the kill here as well. Yeah, perfect. I mean, I will take my life for 3 people dying on the enemy team. Fling the Kayle back into my adhesive, get the extra damage off, get the extra root off, and 3 of the enemies dive. Again, another incredibly strong roam where I was able to get an advantage for my team. I nearly have 6 convergence already, which is really early into the game. You know, 6 minutes for your first item plus boots upgrade is really, really good. But these convergence, I've spoke about this item a few times on Singed on stream, but it works so well, and it means that you don't need to buy an item like Rylai's. I think overall Rylai's is just not a strong item. Rylai's Crystal Scepter, just not a strong item overall because you don't get the magic penetration like you do with other AP items. If Rylai's Crystal Scepter had the magic penetration, it would be a much better item. So I think it's just better to just play tank Singed as a support instead of building like full damage. I know the Thresh Lantern here means the Amumu's coming. This, by the way, is one way that you can use your third ability to protect your AD carry. As you can see, I'm trying my goddamn hardest here to protect my AD carry. I fling the Amumu behind me away from Xayah so he doesn't get caught by the bandage toss. And then I also use the mega adhesive on the Irelia so she can't, you know, she just takes more damage and I keep the Xayah left alive. So, hey, that's another reason there why it's so good. And again, because I used my ultimate early, Xayah got the extra movement speed, the armor, and the magic resist to survive the tower dive from Irelia. So, again, just kind of showing you why Singed is so strong and why you need to play this champion. Like, you need to give this champion a try. It is so crazy. I mean, this is this gameplay I forgot to actually mention, but this gameplay is after the hotfix nerf. So you're seeing that even after the hotfix nerf, the Singed is still a very strong champion to play and can be very impactful. I need to be a little bit careful here in mid lane because there's 4 or 5 players that are coming through to mid lane. I make a little bit of mistake here, but I get him hit by a hook. So instead of me just like dying, I just use my ultimate and try and use my flash to get away. You can see here that I'm trying to play the fight quite slowly. I have an opportunity to fling the Kayle back, but yeah, she kept her ultimate for quite a good amount of time, which is really, really good. I mean, everyone in the enemy team here are so damn low. Like, it's so unfortunate. And then the Yone flashes forward, so I can't fling the Irelia. My Victor basically does negative damage because he's been AFK and he only has 2,500 gold. I think overall that was a pretty unfortunate fight. I think from the situation of me getting caught, it actually turned into like a pretty good fight, but we all died anyway. I probably could have played it a little bit better. Obviously flinging the Yone there instead of the Irelia was a little bit unfortunate, but I feel like at times when I'm playing Singed, I do take a lot of damage from a champion like Kayle, for example, so I don't feel confident enough running around and trying to deal damage with my poison. Sometimes I like to stand a little bit far back to try and peel my Xayah at the same time. But there you go here. We use the adhesive. We use the fling back to land the root. The Ziggs convergence is slowing, dealing extra damage. I can use my proto bolt here to land another root onto Thresh. And that's going to be 2 quick and easy kills for the team. That play in itself should sell you that you should be playing Singed support. That clip by itself should be one of the reasons why you play Singed support. That play there of just using using abilities to be able to give your team so much potential and setup play is just so damn good. Another double kill for my Kha'Zix. Unfortunately, most of the rest of the team actually died, but that's completely fine. 4-3 and 11 right now. And this is with Victor AFK. Like, this is with Victor AFK. My Kha'Zix is in a little bit of trouble. Has to jump back away. I think he actually jumps back in here to try and kill the Irelia. Yeah. I mean, he gets the isolated damage, but he missed the W. Oh, it's actually really unfortunate. I think if Xayah, not Xayah, sorry. If Kha'Zix doesn't miss the W and if Irelia doesn't use the Q, then it's fine. My Olaf, for some reason, chases down the Thresh instead of taking Dragon. He could have taken Dragon before a Mumu came, but I mean, it's completely fine. He killed the Mumu anyway. Yone, I don't know what the Yone was thinking here. Yone completely messes up. Gets grounded. Still able to dash away anyway. I probably used my second ability a bit too early there, actually. I probably should have waited until he landed and then used my second ability. That's probably the way to do it. Because I tried to use it early because I thought he was going to dash back over the wall. Like, get 2 stacks on the blue buff, dash back over the wall, and then use his first ability, like the third version of his first ability, to dash forward. But he delayed it a little bit, so he played it pretty well. Yeah, overall, this game is pretty damn close, and it's really just because that Victor is so far behind. That's one of the main reasons here. I find an opportunity here to try and go onto the Kayle, as you can see here, which is going to be running around dealing a bunch of damage. Kayle actually used her ultimate way too early this time around, which actually gave me an opportunity to engage and fling the Kayle back into my team. The one thing with Kayle is that you need to make sure that you use your ultimate at the right time when you're about to take a lot of damage. Speaking of taking a lot of damage, I actually take a lot of damage here. I think I actually die here, don't I? Yeah. This was my mistake. This was completely my fault. I overextended because I got a root onto a Mumu, and I thought that my team would follow up and get a bit of damage, but unfortunately not. Wasn't able to do too much. I decided to go for Frozen Heart in this game. One of the reasons being is that they have a lot of auto attack champions, and with Frozen Heart, when you deal magic damage, you reduce the attack speed of enemy champions. So Kayle, Yone, Irelia, really good for building Frozen Heart, because these all champions that like to auto attack a lot. So when you're running around with your poison dealing magic damage, also your Zeke's Convergence also does magic damage, you'll be able to reduce the attack speed of some of the enemy champions. So overall, a really good item. And I'm going for Abyssal Mask next because I need magic resist from like Kayle, Amumu, to try and survive a little bit more damage. But overall, this game's not going too bad. I mean, 23 and 16, considering that we was like so far behind in gold because of how the AFK situation worked, with like Xayah being AFK for a little bit, Thingy also being AFK for a little bit. This is where I try and use my technique, which I've been using a lot, by the way. I try and use my Mega Adhesive, my Fling, over to try and get the Irelia, but it didn't really work. I couldn't really get into range there. You can still fling over walls even after the hotfix nerf. It's just a little bit more difficult to try and do. You have to actually get close enough to the wall now. If that was pre-hotfix, where the range was 400 instead of 300, I would have been able to fling Irelia over the wall and probably guarantee a kill. But unfortunately there, you have to stand like really close to the wall now to be able to fling them over. I probably could have maybe used the fling on Thresh instead. That probably would have been a better option. No idea what my Kha'Zix is doing now, by the way. My Kha'Zix is jumping on an Amumu with ultimate. That was completely int, if I do say so myself. But sometimes you get that with Kha'Zix. Sometimes you play Kha'Zix and you're like, oh, I'm fed enough, I can run forward and do a bunch of damage. But yeah, unfortunately not. Victor actually does a really good thing here. I don't think a lot of people actually do this with the T-Hex, which obviously is not going to be in the next patch, so we only have T-Hex for the next few weeks. But Victor probably realizes that he is the one that's behind in gold, and he is the one that isn't very useful for his team. So he's like, cool, I'm going to take the T-Hex and I'm going to use this as an opportunity to try and push down mid. You can see Victor's kind of working as a distraction here to try and push down mids. Kayle here again, probably using the ultimate a little bit too early. I root the Kayle in place, get another kill onto the Kayle. We do need to be a little bit careful here though, because it is basically a 3 versus 2 with who died there on my team? Olaf died. The Baron laner Olaf died. You can see that my Victor is using the T-Hex as a distraction in mid lane. So really incredible job here by Victor to understand that he is super behind and just taking the T-Hex instead. This is one of the very few times that you actually see your team being useful with T-Hex. Most of the time, your team doesn't really know what they're doing with T-Hex. So they just take T-Hex, they run it down mid, they try and tower dive and try and get kills when you can't get kills at all. But again here, just running around trying to deal damage to the Amumu. I'm pretty low on health, so I do need to be a little bit careful. But my Xayah is doing crazy damage right now. But the KO also is pretty fed at this point, so we do need to be a little bit careful. My Kha'Zix again tries to jump in when KO has ultimate. Not very good on kind of the ulti times, is he, the Kha'Zix? I just jump in there just to guarantee the kill. I know I'm probably going to die for it, but as long as I can fling the KO back and trade kills, I'll take it. I mean, if your job, even if your job is as Singed, is to run in, flip someone back, and you die for it, like you're the one that's going into the back line and you're the one that gets traded, that's totally fine. You're a support. You're not supposed to deal damage. You're there to make plays. You're there to protect your AD carry. You're there to win team fights for your team. Your main job isn't to deal damage, to build full damage, to be a carry. It's there to be either a tank, a playmaker, you know, use a ton of crowd control, which is why Singed support works so well, because you have the crowd control with your second ability, your third ability, you give stats with your ultimate. So there's so many ways in which Singed support can work. Obviously, the first ability is a bit useless, to be fair, like you're just running around with your poison, but because all the other abilities are already so much stronger, it doesn't really matter too much, to be fair. I think my Xayah is a bit AFK again. This is probably one of the best plays that I make. So you're seeing here that unfortunately my Olaf gets caught because he jumps a bit too far. Watch what play I make here. I use my Mega Adhesive, as you can see, in the bush. I fling KO into there, instant root. Instant dead straight away. And then this is the go button. Look at my fucking movement speed, by the way. I have Ghost, I have ulti movement speed. I'm flinging the Amumu back to try and protect it, try and protect Xayah. Fling the Amumu back again to protect the Xayah. And then we guarantee the kill. Like, it's... that is the best combo that you can do with Singed. If you can put your mega adhesive down early, and if you can fling the enemy champion into the mega adhesive to root them, you're going to kill them every single time. By the way, I have no idea what my Xayah is doing there. I think my Xayah DC'd again. My Xayah and Victor could DC in this game was a little bit unfortunate. Yeah, it's a very difficult combo to land, but if you can mega adhesive into fling back, land the root, you can see there that because they're rooted, they can't use any abilities, they can't flash, they can't escape, and they're just stuck in that situation. You also see that a little bit later on in the late game team fight. But yeah, that's one of the combos that you need to pretty much understand to try and be a main carry. We're going to try and make sure that they don't do Baron at this point. We do need to be a little bit careful because the Kha'Zix is back in base. I try and do the same combo again, but yeah, I don't think the KO's falling for it this time. It's also why I build Protobelt at the same time. Because I use the Mega Adhesive. I Protobelt into using my Fling with my third ability. Elder Drake is up, so we do need to be careful that the Elder Drake could be an opportunity for the enemy team to try and get an advantage. I use the Fling back here onto the Thresh. I just use my ultimate just to give my stats over to my team. I bait out the KO ulti here, and then I fling the KO back. You see there, I was patient. I didn't fling the KO back straight away. I knew that the KO was going to use the ultimate early. She used it early, and I flinged her back as soon as the ultimate ended. And as you can see, that basically won the fight. My main goal in this fight was to fling the KO into my team. I walked forward, the KO shit herself basically, and was like, oh no, I'm gonna die. I need to use my ultimate. Uses the ultimate. I then run away because I know that the KO is not going to take any damage. And then by that point, I can use my fling her back into the team. My team can do enough damage with Olaf jumping in, the Xayah being able to get into auto attack range as well, and that's what won us the game. Probably one of the best carry performances that you will see on Singed, definitely from myself. I think one of the best ones out there. Again, I'm not perfect with Singed, you know, I don't play Singed that much. This is probably one of the very few times I've actually played Singed because of the rework, but I've played like 10 or 20 games of him since the rework, and he's been a joy to play. It's been a breath of fresh air playing Singed because he's a cool champion, right? Like, he runs around, he does a bunch of damage. Sometimes he stands AFK, but he's pretty fun to play. Overall, really, really good. You can see there, 21,000 damage. Not as much damage. I mean, Before the rework, before the hotfix rework, you were doing like 30, 40,000 damage a game minimum. But still 21,000 damage as a support is pretty good. You can see my runes there as well. Glacial Augment being procced a few times. Obviously, the big thing with Glacial Augment is that you proc Glacial Augment, you fling them back, and they still get slowed in place. Nimbus Cloak giving us the movement speed. I went Perseverance this game because you have Irelia stun, a Mumu stun, the slows from both, the stun from Thresh as well, and then you have a few slows in there. So the tenacity and the armor and magic resist is pretty good. Second wind, obviously, to make sure I don't take poke damage. And Nullifying Orb. I think you saw my full build in the air. Zeke's Convergence, Frozen Hearts, Abyssal Mask, and then you can be flexible with your last item. Most of the time I go Twin Guard. But there is a bit of flexibility, like you can go for Searing Crown if you want more damage. You can go for Warmogs if you need more healing in team fights. It's pretty flexible with what build you can go, and that's another great thing about Singed. But hopefully you enjoyed this gameplay and this rundown of the new Singed. Again, make sure you give him a try. He's super fun to play right now. One of the best supports to play. If you enjoyed the content, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.